If you're a leader of an organization, you want the best out of your people. You want the best out of everything that they do. But how do you get them to the place where they are motivated to give 110% of who they really are to your organization? In this video, we're going to talk about how to do that. If you're new here, my name is Kathy, and this is Motivation Code. Motivation Code is an assessment that helps you better understand what motivates your employees. But there are certain tactics that every leader must employ in order to get the most out of their people. And there are certain things that some leaders do that demotivate their people and put them in a place where they are working for the weekend and dreading Monday morning. I hope that's not you. My goal in creating these videos is to give you ideas in order to empower your people so that everybody's waking up and starting their workday feeling empowered, happy, and excited about what they're doing. I mean, I think we all deserve that. At this juncture in humanity, we have so many things going for us, so many challenges, but so many good things happening. It's time for us to really value our coworkers and for our organizations to value all of us. And leaders, you're the ones that have the keys to that kingdom. So let's get into it. The first thing that a leader can do in order to make their people feel valued is active listening. I mean, there's nothing worse if you're a remote worker and you're on a Zoom call to have a leader ask you a question about something that's important to you, and you start explaining something or presenting something, and you can tell that that leader is multitasking, that they are typing something else up. They're maybe even answering somebody else's email. They're not present with you. They're not actively listening to you. What does that tell your employee? It tells them that something else is more important than what they're communicating. Let's not do that. Let's actively listen. If we ask a question of our employees, it's important to listen to those answers. They're giving you everything that you need in order to better understand them. And that is really what this is all about. In order for your people to feel that they are valued, they have to know that you understand who they really are. I mean, Motivation Code helps with this so much because you get to understand the motivational dimensions of the people that work for you so that you can communicate to them in a way that motivates them. Recognition is another key element in helping your employees feel valued. When you see one of your key people doing something amazing, recognize them publicly and make sure that you are recognizing them in a way that highlights their motivational dimension. Here's one example. Like if you have an achiever, achievers love recognition. They love to be recognized for the things that they do for the organization, for their team, in order to really individually bring things forward. But if you recognize an achiever and say, wow, you were such a team player. We are so glad that you put your achievements on the back burner so that everybody else can succeed, is just going to be totally out of alignment for what an achiever feels, what is important to them, what they value. Really, motivation is about communicating values in a way that aligns to the individual values, the individual motivations that each one of us has. Another thing that's critically important is to give autonomy and to trust the people that work for you. When you exhibit trust in your key people, that you know that they're going to get the ball across the finish line, so to speak, that they are going to do everything it takes in order to make something happen, that you don't micromanage them, wanting to know every minute detail of what they're spending their time on day in and day out. When you trust them to do the things that are going to move the needle in the way that your organization needs it to be moved, and you show that you trust them, they're going to come back and surprise you. They're not only going to come back with what you want, they're going to think through what else needs to be done. They're going to come up with new ideas. If you have a visionary on your team, they're going to come forward with a ton of new ideas. What if we did this and this and this? And they're going to come to you with all of these great ideas that you could have never thought up on your own. But you have to give them the freedom, the trust, and autonomy in order to do these things. When you're using Motivation Code and you know who your people really are, it's so much easier to trust them. I had a colleague once, we were talking about trust, and they joked that they had trust issues. And another person said, if you know who people really are, if you understand their underlying motivations, you'll never have trust issues again because you'll trust them to be exactly who they are. They'll never disappoint you. I found that so insightful that when you really know who people are, trust is so much easier because you know that they are going to follow through on their personality traits, on their motivations, on who they really are. So if you want more trust in your organization, Motivation Code can be a key to help you better trust your people to be exactly who they are. Now, one issue that I have had is that I highly value people who do things that I can't do. For example, I am a visionary, influencer, and an achiever. Those are my three primary motivational dimensions, and they kind of all encapsulate who I really am. But I see an optimizer or an orchestrator, and I really highly value the things that they do because I'm not good at them. So I try to be that, right? Because I value it. But when I really fully understood who I am and understood that those people can't do some of the things that I do, that things that come very easy to me, like coming up with really big ideas and getting other people excited about getting those ideas across the finish line. An orchestrator might be great about getting things organized and getting things done, but they might not be able to come up with the big ideas. And that's what I'm good at. When I was able to let go of valuing things that were outside of me and value the things that I'm extraordinarily good at, then it was almost like I gave myself permission to be more of that visionary, to come up with bigger ideas, to try new things. And of course, leadership giving me that trust and saying, we trust that you're going to do this. It just made things all the better. Trust is so important when it comes to motivating your people. Another key element of really communicating that you value your key people is to include them in decision making. Now, one of the worst things that can happen is if someone tells you, like, go do these things, go collect all of this information, and they don't give you the context of why that information is being collected. Sometimes when people understand the context of why they are doing a particular job, they can then add their own motivational dimension into that. They can find nuanced ways of doing something better because they understand what the context, the reason, the vision that you as a leader have for the tasks that you are assigning to them. So making sure that you include them in the decision making and the inception of a project is so critically important. Also, show personal interest in the people that you're leading. It shows that you value them not just as a worker, not just as someone who has a particular title or does a particular job, or even that you're just valuing that motivational dimension, but show that you are interested in them as a whole person. What's going on in their personal life? What are they interested in? What has gotten them excited and passionate outside of work? Because that's going to give you greater insight into who they are as people, might even help you sort of fill in some of the gaps in understanding how they express motivational dimensions. Some people might express one of their motivational dimensions, like maybe an influencer. They might be very passionate about a particular nonprofit organization, and in their free time, they are out there fundraising for a nonprofit. But at work, they might be an achiever and they want the recognition at work. And maybe some of those things can cross over. Maybe there are some things that you can leverage from their personal lives that they can bring into the organization. I fully believe that people are happiest and most fulfilled when they bring their entire self to a job, to an activity, whether it's a nonprofit volunteer activity or it's an activity that they're getting paid for. No matter what, when you bring your whole self to whatever you're spending your time on, it is much more fulfilling. Now, if you haven't taken Motivation Code yet, I highly recommend doing so. You know, I have always been a big fan of getting to know who we are at our core, beyond our societal definitions, beyond what mom and dad wanted us to do, beyond what school told us we were good at. Really fully understanding who we are at our core. And Motivation Code really has tapped into everything for me personally. And I think it can do the same for you. It's really great when you can bring it into an entire organization. You can say, okay, well, these two people are visionaries and these two people are orchestrators. And I wonder how they might be able to complement each other. We have a bunch of research that if you wanted to bring it into your organization, can fully guide your team to really getting the most out of your people and out of each other. develop better relationships, solve conflict faster. And all of that research is based on decades of motivational research. And it is all a part of our programs at Motivation Code. If you'd like to learn more, there's links down below. But really, if you want to get more out of your people, you need to show them that you value them. And in order to do that, you have to know them, you have to trust them, and you have to communicate with them. Motivation Code supports you through all of that. We'll see you in the next video.